Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. It seems like everywhere you look right now in AI, everyone is talking about social impact.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've got a ton of sources about this topic, AI news summaries, some interesting Reddit discussions, even some Discord, debates going on. It's really quite a lot.
It's a good mix.
It is a good mix. So we're going to dive into all of that today and give you the top 5 projects or tools or methods with the biggest social impact that we found.
Sounds good.
All right, so first up is something called Genesis. Now, you might have seen those really cool videos of like water droplets rolling down a Heineken bottle.
Right, yeah.
Genesis can do that kind of thing, but it's so much more than just like fancy graphics.
Yeah, it's a generative physics engine, and it was a big collaboration between over 20 different research labs.
Wow.
Yeah, so it can be used for things like robotics, material design, even special effects in movies.
So like a robot could learn to like navigate a complex environment just by, being in a simulation.
Exactly, yeah. So it can like learn and adapt just like humans do in the real world.
And then for material design, like I could design something on the computer and know exactly how it's going to behave.
Yeah, you could design materials with like unprecedented precision.
That's amazing. Okay, so next up we have Notebook LM, which sounds like every researcher's dream come true.
Yeah, it's like having a super-powered research assistant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what can it do?
So it's got a 3-panel interface, and you can actually like talk to your notes. You can get instant citations.
Wait, so I'd be like, hey, Notebook LM, summarize this for me.
Yeah, pretty much. And it can summarize key takeaways. And it even does a really good job of keeping track of like where the information came from, so you always know like what the sources are.
And it can even like pull up those sources for me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. Okay, so what's next?
All right, so moving on, we have Fender, and this one is all about helping you remember everything.
Oh, wow, I need that.
Yeah, right? Like, who hasn't wished for an infinite memory?
Constantly.
It's like having a searchable digital brain for all your information. That's wild. What kind of impact could something like that have?
Well, think about it, like for education, students could have access to like all their notes and learning materials instantly. Or for people with cognitive impairments.
Right.
It could be a total game changer.
Yeah, or even for professionals. Like I need to access so much information every day if I could just pull it up instantly.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing.
Wow. Okay, so what else do we have?
All right, so next up we have Depth AI, and this one is for all the developers out there.
Oh, okay, I'm listening.
So you know how frustrating it can be to try to understand a massive code base?
Tell me about it.
It's like getting lost in a maze, right?
Ugh, yeah.
Well, Depth AI basically indexes your code and can answer like any technical question you have about it with 99% accuracy.
99%.
Yeah, they claim 99%. So you could ask it something like, where is this function defined, or what are the dependencies of this module? And it'll just tell you.
So it's like having a senior engineer on call like 24/7.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about the last one.
Okay, so for the last one, let's shift gears a bit and talk about hardware.
Okay, the stuff that makes it all possible.
Right, because we've been talking about all these amazing AI applications, but have you ever wondered like what kind of hardware is actually running all of this?
Yeah, it's like the unsung hero of the AI revolution.
Exactly, and that's where MadX comes in. They're developing something called LLM Accelerator ASICs, which are basically specialized chips designed specifically to run AI models.
Okay, so like a souped-up graphics card.
Sort of, but even more specialized. So these chips are like way faster and more efficient than anything else out there. And that means like everything from scientific discoveries to like, everyday consumer products can benefit from AI.
That makes sense. So faster AI means like faster drug discovery, faster development of new materials.
Right, exactly.
Wow. So MadX is really like pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI hardware.
They really are. It's pretty amazing stuff.
So those are our top 5 AI projects, tools, methods, whatever you want to call them, that are having a huge impact.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that this is just the beginning. AI is still in its early stages, so who knows what amazing things we'll see in the future.
That's what's so exciting about it, right? There's so much potential.
Totally. And the best part is that AI is being used to tackle some of the world's biggest challenges, like climate change, poverty, disease.
Right.
It's really inspiring to see how people are using this technology to make a positive difference in the world.
Yeah. And it seems like there's a real focus on social impact, like making sure that AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Absolutely. That's a really important part of this whole conversation.
So I guess the big question is what's next for AI?
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, but that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, that's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. One of your sources, a Reddit thread, actually brought up an interesting point about AI's impact on the knowledge economy, especially with like these autonomous agents becoming more and more sophisticated.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was like, will AI make knowledge more accessible to everybody, or will it actually widen the gap between the haves and the have-nots?
Right. There were some really good arguments on both sides. Like
Hey.
some people were saying that, if AI can automate tasks that require specialized knowledge, then that expertise could become more widely available and empower more people.
Yeah, like it's like having access to a whole team of experts.
Yeah, exactly. But then others were worried about, job displacement and the concentration of knowledge in the hands of like the few who control the technology.
Right, it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it really is. And it's something that we definitely need to think about as AI continues to evolve.
For sure. For sure. Okay, well, speaking of responsible development, there was also a lot of talk about AI safety and ethics.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one, especially when it comes to these large language models.
Yeah, like there's a lot of concern about bias. Like if the models are trained on biased data, then they're going to produce biased outputs.
Right. And that can have some pretty serious consequences.
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially if those outputs are being used to make decisions that affect people's lives.
Exactly. So it's not just about the data, it's also about how these models are designed and how they're used.
Hmm.
We need to make sure that they're transparent, accountable, and aligned with like human values.
Yeah, it seems like there's a real push for transparency these days.
Definitely, people want to know how these systems work, how decisions are being made and what's being done to like mitigate potential risks.
It's about building trust.
Exactly.
Okay, so remember MadX, the company we talked about that's making those AI accelerator chips?
Yeah.
Well, apparently there are a bunch of other companies working on similar technology. Things are getting pretty competitive.
Oh, yeah. I saw some heated discussions about this on Discord. Everyone's trying to build the fastest, most efficient AI chips.
They got AI arms race.
Yeah, it kind of is, but in a good way. Like this competition is going to lead to some major advancements in AI hardware.
Right, and that's going to make AI more accessible and affordable for everyone.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and speaking of cool hardware, I came across this thing called the NVIDIA Jetson Orin Nano Super Developer Kit.
Yeah, I saw that it's like a tiny little computer, but it's super powerful.
Right. It's amazing how much they've packed into such a small device. And the best part is that it's relatively affordable, so it makes AI development accessible to like students, hobbyists, anyone who wants to experiment with AI.
That's awesome. It's like democratizing AI development.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about open source.
Okay.
There's a lot of buzz about open source AI development these days.
Yeah, open source is all about collaboration and sharing knowledge, which is really important in the AI world.
Right. It's like the opposite of the whole like Silicon Valley secrecy thing.
Yeah, exactly. One project that really stood out to me was Axolotl AI. They're developing a bunch of open source AI tools and models with a focus on ethical development and accessibility.
I like that they're thinking about the ethics of it.
Yeah, me too. They have this initiative called Blueprints, which is basically a set of guidelines and best practices for building open source AI applications.
Oh, that's cool. Like a roadmap for ethical AI development.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like they're not just building tools, they're also building a community.
Right, exactly.
That's really cool. Okay, so on the flip side of open source, there's also a lot of discussion about the cost of using these AI APIs and tools.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Like AI development is expensive and someone's got to pay for it.
Right, but at the same time, we don't want the cost to be a barrier to entry for people who could really benefit from this technology.
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
It is, but we are starting to see some creative solutions like tiered pricing models where you pay based on usage or free access for non-commercial or educational use.
Those are good ideas.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see more of that in the future.
Okay, so let's get a little more technical now.
Okay.
There's been a lot of talk about function calling lately, especially with the release of OpenAI's new model.
Oh, yeah, the O1 model.
Yeah, that's the one. So can you explain what function calling is?
Yeah, so basically it's giving AI the ability to execute code.
Wait, really? So like it can actually run programs?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a major step forward in terms of making AI more interactive and capable of like doing more complex tasks.
So instead of just like generating text or images, it can actually like interact with other systems.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah, and developers are really excited about this. They're already using it to like automate tasks, build interactive applications, all sorts of cool stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, so there was also a lot of discussion about something called Koopman operator theory.
Oh, yeah, that one was a little over my head, to be
Me
honest.
too. It was like some serious math going on there.
Yeah, but from what I understand, it's basically a way to analyze and understand complex systems that change over time, like neural networks.
So it's like a tool for understanding how AI works.
Yeah, kind of like it helps us to like peer into the black box and see what's going on inside.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
fascinating stuff.
Okay, so what about emergent abilities?
Ah, yes, the mysterious emergent abilities.
Everyone's talking about them, but what are they exactly?
So, emergent abilities are basically capabilities that arise in AI systems that weren't specifically programmed into them.
So like the AI is learning stuff on its own.
Yeah, it's like it's developing new skills or understanding as it learns from all this data.
Wow, that's kind of scary.
It is a little bit, but it's also really exciting. You know, it
Mm.
raises all sorts of questions about the nature of intelligence and learning.
Right, like is the AI actually understanding this stuff, or is it just a really good mimic?
That's the million-dollar question.
And we don't have the answer yet.
Not yet, but maybe someday.
Okay, so let's bring it back to social impact.
Oh.
There were some really heartwarming stories about how AI is being used to help people with disabilities.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the most promising applications of AI.
Like I read about wheelchairs that can be controlled with brain waves and communication devices that can translate thoughts into speech.
That's incredible.
It really is. It's like AI is giving people back their independence.
Yeah, and it's not just about assistive technologies. AI is also being used to personalize healthcare for people with disabilities. You know, like helping to diagnose conditions earlier and develop more effective treatments.
So AI is making a real difference in people's lives.
It really is. And it's not just limited to healthcare. You know, we're seeing AI being used in education to create personalized learning experiences and in environmental sustainability to tackle things like climate change and deforestation.
It's like AI is being used to solve some of the world's biggest problems.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring.
Okay, so one last thing before we wrap up this part.
Okay.
There was a lot of emphasis on community and collaboration in the AI world.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the things I love about this field. Everyone's so willing to share knowledge and work together.
Yeah, it's like a global community of AI enthusiasts all working towards a common goal.
Exactly. And that's what makes me optimistic about the future of AI. You know, when we work together, we can accomplish incredible things.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
Mm. Okay, so that was a lot of information. We covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We did.
But it's clear that AI is a transformative technology with the potential to change the world in some pretty amazing ways.
Yeah, for sure. And it's up to all of us to make sure that those changes are positive and beneficial to everyone.
Okay, so let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up our deep dive with some final thoughts and reflections on the future of AI. Okay, so we're back, and we've really explored a ton of stuff about AI and its impact on the world.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast this field is moving. There's always something new to learn.
And it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it and what kind of future we want to create with it.
Exactly. You know, we talked about things like Koopman operator theory and emergent abilities, which are pretty deep dives into the theoretical side of AI. But even there, you can see how people are trying to connect those theories to real-world applications.
It's like this constant push to make AI more powerful, but also more understandable and more beneficial.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to figure out what AI is really capable of and how we can use it to make a positive impact.
And one of the most encouraging things I've seen is this focus on AI safety and ethics.
Absolutely. You know, people are really starting to think about the potential risks of AI and how to mitigate those risks.
Like bias is a big one?
Yeah, and there are a lot of smart people working on solutions, you know, like developing new techniques for detecting and mitigating bias in AI systems.
It's good to know that those concerns are being addressed.
Yeah, it's really important. And, you know, another positive trend is this emphasis on open source development and collaboration.
It's like the AI community is realizing that we're all in this together.
Yeah, exactly. And that sharing knowledge and working together is the best way to move the field forward.
So it's not just about competition, it's also about cooperation.
Yeah, and that's what makes me optimistic about the future of AI. You know, when we work together, we can accomplish incredible things.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this?
I think the big takeaway is that we are at a really crucial moment in the evolution of AI. The technology is advancing rapidly, and it has the potential to reshape our world in profound ways. But it's up to us to decide what that future looks like. We need to make sure that AI is used ethically and responsibly and that it benefits all of humanity.
Well said. That's a great message to end on. So, to our listeners, we encourage you to stay curious, keep learning, and engage in these important conversations about the future of AI.
Yeah, and if you're interested in learning more about any of the projects or topics we discussed today, be sure to check out the links in the show notes.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive into the world of AI.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy diving.